What's up, legends? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're back on Black Ops 6 Zombies, and we're going to be going over which map is the easiest, or I guess I should say the fastest, to upgrade your weapon. What I mean by this is Pack-a-Punch and Rarity, and I did go ahead and dive into each of the maps and replicate the exact same thing using the exact same weapon and strategy in order to determine this. Now, I had my own ideas of what was going to be the easiest map and what was going to be the more challenging one, but I was actually kind of surprised by the results of this, and I think it's kind of interesting to go into each of these maps and do this, because I think it's fun to not only see which map's going to give you the easiest experience, but in case another new weapon coming out or something, this may determine which map you choose in the future. But before we go into it, I want to mention that the thing that I went for was Pack 2 Epic. The thing that I did do was make sure to have the Rampage Inducer on. I had the exact same weapon equipped on each time. And I want to make sure that I mentioned that although I did take advantage of side Easter eggs and things on each map, I was not absolutely min-maxing 100%. So there are some things that you could do on a round-to-round basis. And even in the case of Liberty Falls, you could hit something like the vending machine each and every round, giving yourself a higher chance at getting some sort of reward, right? And determining the RNG that you get may determine the reward that you get, which could also improve the results. But the way that I did this, I wanted to make it in a way that it was the more average experience and something that you could replicate on a match-by-match basis and get the same results. So that's exactly what I went for. Starting out, we're going to go ahead and dive into Liberty Falls. Now for this map, of course, I usually try to stay in the spawn until I'm ready to open up all the way to the church. Everybody's strategy is different, but the main thing that is important here is that you do not buy any perks, and you do not obviously upgrade your rarity tool, because on round 10, you will be able to go ahead and throw your nade on the rooftop, getting access to a free rare ether tool, saving yourself that much salvage, right? So obviously by having rare already, you will only need to save up to 2,500 salvage, which you should be able to do by round 10. Also on round 10, depending on obviously the essence that you had, maybe the power-ups that you're using, and of course in my case, using the Rampage Inducer every time, I was able to have just enough essence to not only get Pack-a-Punch level 1, but I was also able to get Pack-a-Punch level 2, putting me at round 10 for both Pack 2 and Epic Rarity. And I do want to mention that I did have a little bit of essence left over, but the variables on essence and salvage will be different from match to match because you won't get the exact same drops. And obviously you won't have the same lineup of power-ups and all that stuff. So I did have about 500 essence left over and about 500 salvage, which would have allowed me to grab an ammo mod. And again, this was only round 10. And from that point forward, I could have just saved up for perks. And in my personal experience, I pretty much at that point would just save up to hit the Wonder Fizz, maybe grabbing a few perks in between. And I wouldn't need anything outside of Pack 3 and eventually Legendary on my weapon. So that's kind of nice to be set up as early as round 10 and have the rest of the match to kind of go through and just focus on perks and other upgrades later. Next up, we have Terminus. Now, this is actually the map that I figured would be the most challenging to get your weapon upgraded just based on the amount of side Easter eggs and things that you have access to, but I was a little bit surprised by the results. Now, for Pack-a-Punch level 2, very similar to Liberty Falls, we had the exact same essence situation, and we were able to get Pack 2 on level 10, or round 10, I should say. For Epic Rarity, though, it was a little bit different because you don't have any access to a rarity tool through a side Easter egg. However, I did take advantage of Crab Island. I headed over there. I made sure to nade the crab nest, or the crab trap, I guess I should say, up at the top. And I was able to play the little crab mini games, hitting them as quickly as I could to then either get essence, salvage, or even a free perk, which the free perk wasn't relevant. So I did take advantage of that for some extra essence and some salvage, so I was able to get upgraded a little bit earlier than I anticipated, but it was still round 14 for Epic Rarity, as I did have to grind out the entirety of the salvage required, which I believe is about 4,000. So it does take a little bit longer at that point, and it does kind of have us sitting at Epic Rarity a little bit later, but still, before even round 15, before even your first elite has spawned in, you are able to, as long as you're not buying anything else, to get that Pack 2 in Epic Rarity. But I do want to mention at round 14, obviously having to take that extra amount of rounds to get to that point, I was sitting on 25,000 essence then, and I could obviously buy quite a plethora of perks and other things that I would like, whether it was a armor upgrade or something else. But at that point, I am sitting at 0 salvage, and that will come into play as we get through the other map. Now it's time for Citadel Day More, and I was actually surprised by the results of this one because I'm going to go ahead and spoil it for you. This one took me the longest because I think with the element of having the Rat King Easter egg, it adds a whole nother level of RNG, whereas the other maps are more guaranteed in some sense, right? So for this map, I 100% want to make sure I clarify I did take advantage of the Rat King Easter egg, but it did take me up to round 11 to get Pack-a-Punch level 2. I don't know how close I was exactly at the end of round 10, but it did take me that extra little bit to get to the Pack-a-Punch level 2, and part of it could be of waiting for the Rat King Easter egg, because I always do that first, just in case it does give me a pack crystal, which would have saved me, and then obviously it could possibly give you a rarity tool. Now, in the specific run that I did to test this out, I absolutely got nothing that was beneficial to me in the sense of rarity or Pack-a-Punch, but there is always the chance that you get that, and it would boost this up quite a bit. So it was round 11 for Pack-a-Punch level 2, and epic rarity did take me until round 15, because similar to Terminus, I did have to grind out all of the salvage. There's just not a lot of extra ways to get salvage on this map, and having already done the Rat King Easter egg, I'd obviously use my chance at getting a free pack crystal or a rarity tool. But even with that, we are still ahead of being at round 16, where our first elite would spawn in this case an amalgam, and we are pack 2 and epic, and can save up for our first perks or an armor upgrade. The other thing that's cool about this is at this point as well, I did end up with 0 salvage, and I did have about 19,000 essence that at that point I could buy, my plate upgrades or, again, those perks. So Citadel did end up being the map that took me the longest, like I said, but that was with some terrible RNG in regards to the Rat King Easter egg. Next up, we have the Tomb. Now, this is, in my opinion, the easiest map in the game, and the results are kind of going to back that up. Now, there is a close, kind of tie between Liberty Falls and the Tomb. You could make your argument over which elite and specials you hate fighting more, and that being, what makes one more challenging than the other. But with the Tomb, we were able to get Pack-a-Punch level 2 at round 9. Good reason for this is once you actually open up the doors to the Dark Ether, you do have access to the rocks in the sky within the Dark Ether that you could shoot all 5 of the rocks. You do get the Cryo Freeze ammo mod and a Pack 1 crystal, and it's guaranteed each and every game. So that saves you 5,000 essence. You're already going to be Pack-a-Punch level 1, and you're going to do a little bit more damage, which obviously means that on round 9, when you get Pack-a-Punch level 2, that's only because you obviously saved the 5,000, which is the difference between this map and the other maps, being able to do it 1 round earlier than as Liberty Falls and Terminus had us on round 10. Now, when it comes to the epic rarity, it's a whole nother game, because on the Tomb, just like you have a free Pap Crystal as a side Easter egg, you also have a free Ether tool as a side Easter egg. And with the Cryo Freeze that you got from the first one, at round 11, you're going to be able to freeze the 2 waterfalls, giving you access to epic rarity. So on round 11, unlike a couple of the other maps, which is 15 and 14, you are going to be pack 2 epic, which is still a little bit slower than Liberty Falls, which was at round 10 for each. But you will be sitting on 6,500 essence that you didn't have on Liberty, and you are also going to be almost halfway to legendary as far as your salvage is concerned. I was going to be at 2,350. You need 5,000 for that final upgrade, meaning that legendary is 100% going to come a lot earlier, and with the amount of essence that you saved by not having to buy that Pack-a-Punch level 1, you're going to get your perks a little bit faster, and in the end, you're going to have all upgrades quicker on the Tomb. Also, the more damage that you do, the faster you're going to get through the rounds, so the better off the experience is going to be in general. Last but not least, we have the Shattered Veil, and this is the one that I anticipated would be somewhere in between, but it ends up a little bit more on the end of Citadel with really bad RNG, as round 11 is where I got Pack-a-Punch level 2. Normally I get Pack-a-Punch level 1, I just hang out in the mainframe so I have enough points to grab pack 3, or pack 2, not pack 3. And then for epic rarity, the same thing. There is no really good side Easter egg quests on this map. There are side Easter egg quests, they do have rewards, but none of them that fit within the demographic of how I normally do the other maps in general. So they're a little bit out of the way to do, and in my opinion, I just don't waste the time to do them. So there is always the chance that you could do something a little bit different here, and maybe you get different results, but Pack-a-Punch level 2 was on round 11, and similar to Terminus, because we have to save up our essence, or not our essence, our salvage all the way as we go, it did take us all the way until round 14. But there was something that you could kind of maybe use in your runs in the future. I did notice if you wait until round 10 to start shooting the wooden boxes that do give you salvage, instead of giving you 1 drop of salvage, they'll give you 2. And I think if you wait even long enough, there is a chance at some point they do start giving you 3. So at least wait till round 10 before you start shooting those boxes. You'll get a significant amount more of those salvage drops, and you'll be able to get epic rarity that much sooner. But across the board, it was, in my opinion, pretty surprising to see that at the very highest, we were pack 2 epic on round 15 at the very latest on any of the maps, right? So at any point, As long as you are only focusing on your weapon upgrade specifically, at the time the first elite shows up, you're going to be well more than powerful enough to just destroy it and take it off the map. And obviously, the faster you're eliminating the zombies, the less threat they are, the faster you're going to build up those points. And then you'll be able to get any of those other upgrades that some people might argue could be more important than upgrading your weapon. But honestly, a lot of the time, I end up getting maybe Jug, and then I do this exact same strategy, getting my weapon upgraded as quickly as possible. So, in my opinion, after all is said and done here, I think the Tomb is probably by far the easiest map, with Liberty Falls kind of in tandem. You could argue again which one you would prefer the special or elites on more, but I just think the abominations are quite annoying. I don't think the amalgams are all that bad, and the area in which you can train the zombies on the Tomb is pretty chill inside the Dark Ether, with access to all the things that you need, Wonder Fizz being close by and all that. I think being that you do get the upgrades the fastest, it does end up making the map the easiest. But at the end of the day, the fact that you can get, Pack 2 Epic on any of these maps before round 16 really just goes to show how a decent strategy, or maybe planning the way that you do your run, could very well make or change the experience that you have. It also goes to show that things can be quite easy on this game if you're using a powerful enough weapon and you're upgrading your weapon early enough. I mean, come on. The fact that you can make it this far in the match, get that powerful, and probably utilize that until the round 30 or so before you really need to upgrade to Legendary and probably Pack 3, especially with the addition to Double Tap, is kind of surprising and honestly pretty interesting in comparison to like some of the older Call of Duty Zombies games out there. But that's going to wrap things up for us here. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the information. Hopefully you guys learned something new. And maybe you guys will be utilizing these exact same strategies to get Pack 2 Epic earlier in your runs. That's going to wrap things up. Thank you guys for all the support in today's video, all the support in the channel. Look forward to seeing y'all in the next one. Peace!